what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the tone. First of all, welcome to another episode of True Crime in Real Estate. Sandy Burnett is going to turn on her Do Not Disturb. Where is my Do Not Disturb? There it is. They move things around all the time. Okay. So welcome to another episode of True Crime in Real Estate. We this kind of evolved, and Holly and I enjoy serving the hottest tea while also making it a lesson for real estate agents in this industry. We're already a super litigious. People hate us already. So real estate agents, realtors, people in the industry keep finding ways to make consumers hate them even more. We want to shed a little light on these stories, tell you these stories, have a little fun while doing it, but then also, learn a little something along the way. So I'm going to start off by I'm going to set the tone with where this happened, because it happened in a very prominent county. And I'm going to show you this sheriff in this county does not fuck around. Like, you do not FAFO in Sheriff Grady Judd's county. So share my screen here. Can we see my YouTube?
Yes.
And I'm going to make sure I share my sound. Hang on. Almost didn't do that. All right.
Hear me? Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said? I want you to understand what deviants these people really are. I had a wish you were here vacation. It was at the county jail. This is a peaceful protest. This is a riot. This is a picture of Christopher. It's a very nice picture in his state prison outfit. You see, if you loot,
you want a full screen YouTube?
The next thing you can try to steal is something off of your food tray at the county jail. This is not only a bad turkey, he's a bad man. The southern gentleman who's now a battery suspect who is. Some people are slow learners. This is peaceful protest. This is violence. Charged him with 408 counts of child pornography. Did you hear me? Did you hear me? So she offers this truck for sale for $200 and says the owner of it's not going to need it any longer because they've been murdered. Did you hear what I said? Did you hear me? Did you hear me? He was purchasing soiled underwear. Did you hear me? Did you hear what I said? Sometimes you think you're passing gas and you're not. You can't trust a fart when you're over 60. I know this. Jesus ain't happy. I can tell you Helen Keller could have seen all the evidence they left in the scene. Huh, guys? It really is a small world after all. This ain't California. It was evident this morning he might have had 5 brain cells. 3 of them weren't working. Were your 3 brain cells in overload? But I want to talk to you today about a turkey that's a bad turkey. I think he's thinking, I don't want to go back to prison. But we're thinking you should.
Leaving the Channel 8 morning show? What were you thinking?
Can you believe that? I expected her to at least say, well, the devil made me do it. But I want to introduce to you a thug, a pedigreed thug. We were born in the morning, but it wasn't yesterday. And the reason we didn't arrest Eric is because he's dead. We thought it'd be a waste of time just between you and me. And here's our promise. We'll open the door for you at the county jail. The men and women of law enforcement that write you a ticket today will stand in front of a bullet for you tonight. So you were racing and you hit a wall, and it was called the Polk County Sheriff's Office. Come on, man. What's wrong with you? Come on, man. What are you thinking? Had that police officer up there done that here, I'd have had him in jail by sundown. And one holds the door open for the other because that's what we do in Polk County. Well, isn't that special? I'm not going to answer that question. Do you have any other questions you want me to not answer? Thank you. God bless you. See you later.
have not heard of that.
My name is Germer, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy.
It's turned off. Okay, there we go. You've never heard of him?
No,
He is amazing. I'm gonna send you some other ones, Holly. There's some good ones.
He is a legend. And so that's why it's so funny, because it's just like you should just know better than screwing up in his county. So, but what's interesting is, like, I see Polk County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Grady Judd, and then I see Polk County Sheriff's Office. Oh, okay, that's why, because they're like misinformation concerning Polk County courthouse arrests, and then it's like, oh, this didn't happen in Polk County, Iowa, just people posting that. So I am going to next, I'm going to show you guys what we're about to talk about, but I'm going to share it from my phone here. So many screen shares. Oh my. And then mirror. Okay. So we have got from the Polk County Sheriff's Office, former East Polk County Association of Realtors CEO Jennifer Garula-Mers, arrested for grand theft. She was arrested for stealing over $81,000 from us hardworking realtors, the Realtor Association. So, you know, we should have pulled that footage. Sheriff Grady Judd will go live to provide details of the arrest at 3 p.m. We should have totally pulled that footage. We have failed you. We did not, because that would have been amazing. But if we pull it, maybe we'll construct a reel and show it later, because you know it's going to be good. Or maybe Holly's working on it right now. You never know. So like I said, I am the storyteller and Holly is the tea giver. So some of these comments I want to read to you, and I'm going to read them to you after I read to you our actual story about it that I put together. But this, I just wanted to set the tone of where it happened. Oh, cool. Let's do it.
I mean, Brian to the punch, but I'll still play it.
Do it.
Walking up to the podium, let's go ahead and listen in.
Roll out, but I really think that the people who want to know and need to know will be comfortable with the extra few minutes. We're going to talk today for a few minutes about the East Polk County Association of Realtors and their ex-executive director, Jennifer Garula-Mers, M-E-R-S, Mers. Here's what's important to understand. This all started in about 2021, 2022, when a realtor by the name of
This is also
RJ
13
Webb
minutes. I don't know if you want to sit through the whole thing.
I know, that's what I was thinking. Plus, Holly's not full screen. He didn't tell her about it.
Yeah. There is a short. I don't know if that's better or not.
Let's do the short, Brian.
You have that link there, Holly, in the chat?
Second one, yeah.
Yeah.
She's a thief. She's a con.
You're
She's
not
a
your
crook.
screen.
Okay, this is way better. Here we go. Is it big enough?
She's a thief. She's a con. She's a crook. Let me say that again for that board of directors that had their head up their butt and didn't do what was right. She's a crook. She's a thief. She's a con. And you allowed her to do it. Now, this is Epcar's picture of Jennifer, and this is what you look like after you've been investigated by the sheriff's office for a couple of years. She lived in Hernando County, where she was taken into custody on grand theft charges of more than $20,000 $20,000, which is like an F2, as well as many other criminal charges. She's a thief.
That's amazing. Holy shit. Okay, well, we should have done a little more research and played that at the very beginning and just went into the story. But you guys were new at true crime and real estate, and we're sharpening our knives here. But that was fucking amazing. Go ahead.
I kind of feel like that was like this is your brain on drugs kind of comparison.
He did. I mean, that's why I'm saying I will never, like, I will drive the speed limit in Sheriff Grady Judd's county. I will not fuck up whatsoever, because I do not want him doing me dirty on live television. I just cannot handle that. So allow me to go into the actual story. So East Polk County Association of Realtors, Auburndale, Florida. Small outfit, 300 members or so. They handle MLS access, education, networking. Dues pay the bills, as we all know. So in 2020, they hire Germer Mers as CEO. She's not a realtor herself. Actually, she doesn't even have a real estate license. She's just an admin with a title. They start her at $80K a year pay, fair for the role. But 4 months in, she bumps her pay to $85K without board approval. She signs the check herself. So that's just the start. Over 4 years, she ramps it up. By 2023, she's pulling $99K. Unauthorized hikes total $43,000. Then bonuses. $12,500 she gifts to herself. Extra payroll checks, 20,000 more. Fake reimbursements, $2,000. Retirement tweak nets her another $8,000 from the match. Credit card, Association Plastic, she turns it personal. Dinners, Amazon sprees, grooming, which, I mean, you can't really tell from her mugshot. Household stuff, $3,000 in just pure fluff. The grand total was that they discovered, after these forensic accountants combed through it, $81,453 of extra funds that she drained from this association. Slow, steady, like a leak. How? Weak controls. That's why he was yelling at everybody. She ran the fucking books there. She signed the checks. The board just trusted her reports. They never audited her, never gave it a second look. So it was a classic setup for her to skim. Cut to 2024. A new board president steps in, spots all these red flags. Salaries off. Expenses fuzzy. Digs deeper, finds the trail, but Germer Mers doesn't back down easy. Allegedly hires a guy from Chicago. He calls the new president of the association and threatens her. Drop it or else. So that president holds firm, files a lawsuit, alerts the interim director, who loops in the cops. Enter Polk County Sheriff's Office, Grady Judd's domain, the sheriff who turns arrests into must-see TV. November 20th, 2025, warrant issues. Hernando County grabs her in Spring Hill. She's 53 years old. No bond, you guys. Second-degree felony theft, 20,000 to 100,000 bracket. The next day, that's when Judd holds court. Press her at the ops center. Our investigation found unauthorized raises, bonuses, non-business charges. Then the zinger, Jennifer Germer Mers is a thief, and among other things that we saw. Videos are everywhere now. Watch it. We'll throw something else out there, I'm sure, later today. But his drawl cuts like a knife. He urges nonprofits, get checks and balances or get got. Associations reeling, all but broke, is what they're reporting, this association. Dues might spike. Their members are fucking furious. Trust shattered. Gorilla Murs first appearance pending. She hasn't even had her first appearance yet. So I should be saying allegedly throughout this whole thing, but I'm just going off of what Sheriff Grady Judd's saying. So in Judd's world, cases move fast. She hasn't even pled out yet. We don't know how she's going to plea. X blew up, Twitter, X blew up. Sheriff's post got 15,000 views, 500 likes. Booker Scott's clip of Judd, 3,700 likes, nearly 100,000 views. She did it all in Grady's County is what they're saying. All these comments calling her a crook, trust but verify. One user shrugged it off as small potatoes next to big scams. You know, think about the scam we just did last week. That was a $7.3 million Ponzi scam. I mean, so anyway, the consensus is, I love that this is the consensus, but don't mess around in Polk County. And also to you realtor boards, wake up. Like, I speak for only myself, but because I don't want to speak out of turn for anyone else, but you know, we've gone through enough lately with our realtor membership. We don't need this shit too. I wanted to, by the way, she's facing years behind bars if convicted. The association is rebuilding, but again, they're going to have to raise dues on their members. And it's all because nobody verified any of the funds. They just all trusted. And I just want to say, like, good for that new president, especially after even being fucking threatened. Good for them for doing what's right, digging into it. I mean, we all know that our time is precious and the work we put into things, it's all precious, right? So the fact that that person, and I don't have their name, but the fact that that president of the association spent the extra time and energy digging into something that didn't pass the sniff test, like, I think that's amazing. So you look like you want to say something, Holly. No. Okay. So I want to read a couple of comments because I think this is the most important distinction to make. So, somebody goes, you know, some of the comments, don't they go by a code of ethics, right? This is what people start going into, right? So somebody replies, realtors do. She's not a realtor. So that's one of the biggest things. And it's like, I knew this in the background, but I had kind of forgotten this. The CEO, people that work at our associations, they are not realtors. They are like in charge of us, essentially. They know all of the ins and outs, the bylaws. They fucking set the bylaws, you know, with going to the board and everything, right? But they enforce the bylaws, right? But they are not realtors themselves. They don't even have to hold a real estate license, and they usually don't. And you could feel a couple of different ways about it. Some people would be like, well, and this is like discussion time now, okay? Some people might be like, well, on one hand, why wouldn't they be a realtor? They should kind of be like plugged in and, you know, understanding what we're susceptible to and, you know, have a better understanding. My view personally on it is if they were a realtor or they did have a real estate license, they would have to hang that license at a company and therefore be susceptible to playing favoritism, because a board is supposed to be neutral amongst intercompany squabbles, essentially. So the only way I would see that working is if there was a special company designated only for board members to hang their license and not be practicing real estate. But Holly, I'm interested in your thoughts before we open it up.
Well, you know, I need to do more research on the whole CEO, EO position that we have, and then this president stuff, because the president is probably a licensed real estate agent, because the board itself is made up of real estate agents and brokers from different brokerages. It's just that EO and maybe their assistant or staff that's not. So, in this case, would it have made a difference? No, probably not. But yeah, that is an interesting concept. Should the EOs be real estate agents with experience, even if they have to inactivate their license while they're serving as an EO? So definitely
So the other thing though is in our association, and I'm betting this is everywhere else, we don't know how much our CEO and our staff members are paid in salary. And they do that for a reason, because they don't want us like bitching about it, right? So I think they group it all together because it's, a nonprofit, right? So I think they group all the salaries together. So we can't mentally split it up, but we know our association's in over $1 million surplus. I'm proud of that. Like we own property, we own the building that our association is in. They rent spots out in the building, and we're at $1 million surplus. However, it's weird that our dues kind of like never get a break or anything else like that, but whatever. So yeah, I did want to make that distinction as well, that I found interesting, is we don't know how much they're paid. So how can anybody possibly, like, how do we hold them accountable? Like whose responsibility is it to start digging into this?
Yep, I truly don't know the answer to that. So that is interesting. I would hope that the board who we've voted for, right, as agents, we vote for who we want on the board of our association. Hopefully they've got some oversight. Like this president was the new one and was kind of like, wait, something doesn't smell right, which is great. But it is interesting because I've seen, I'm a member of, I don't know, over the years, I've been a member of 30 something associations, right? Because I've
Yeah.
been a multi-state broker. And so it's fascinating though, these boards, because in smaller markets, they are very much sometimes all, at the same brokerage. So it's like, what are the rules there? And then you can't really enforce any rules because a broker, an agent can switch brokerages on a whim. So there's it's like that's interesting. Also, I know that the overarching National Association for the lay person watching too, it's National Association of Realtors. Then real estate agents that choose to be a member of NAR have to join a state association. So we have the Iowa Association of Realtors, Illinois Association of Realtors, in this case the Florida Association of Realtors. Then you have to join a local association of realtors. So you literally have these 3 levels of associations that you're paying dues to and you're answering to, and they're supposed to be serving us. And over the last few years, that's been what a lot of agents have been questioning is, but is there value here? What am I getting out of this? But I know there's also a facet where their association dues are supposed to be what's feeding them and keeping them sustainable, and not affiliated with their MLS dues. So you can have multiple associations that feed into one MLS, for example. But a lot of associations, when they start having these conversations of mergers, they panic and they don't do it because they have that MLS being a revenue stream as well. So I'm not saying it's a racket, but the further into everything I get, the more it starts to smell weird, like this whole operation. Now, I do think they do great things for us, but is it the end all be all? I don't know.
Alicia.
See? Haha, it would not unmute. Good morning. I'm so sorry I'm late. I just want to say, like, if I hire an assistant, right, like a human assistant, that is going to be heavily involved in transactions with me by my side, in order for me to be able to compensate them, they must be licensed.
Well, no,
It
that's
depends on
an
the activities that they're
yeah,
doing.
totally depends on the activity.
Right. Like what I'm saying is like they're out there like, hey, I don't feel like hosting the open that I scheduled for today because I have XYZ. I need you to go host the open. I mean like involved, which many of our members of the associations are involved in oversight of transactions and things like that, right? So if my assistant, in order to be that involved in my transactional day-to-day life, has to be licensed, why are we allowing folks to make decisions for us that don't have to be licensed and have no experience in real estate?
Well, and that
Well, yeah, go ahead, Holly.
great question. However, the EO or executive officers don't make decisions. They take out they are solely responsible for running the day-to-day operations based on the guidance of the board, which is made up of licensed real estate agents. But just devil's advocate. I'm not saying I agree or don't agree.
I will say that don't they, for instance, like when our board was deciding to switch affiliations and stuff, was the CEO involved in making that decision?
No.
It's our like our local or our realtors that were elected. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and I could be wrong. I don't believe the EOs have any decision-making power.
I don't, yeah, so I don't know, because I look at my personal CEO that of my association. I have a ton of respect for her. She knows her shit. We call her with questions and she will rattle off the, bylaw or answer. Now, she's not the one that goes and punishes us, but she is the vessel for if we are going to file a complaint or, hold somebody accountable, or somebody wants to hold somebody else accountable. She's the vessel to help facilitate that. They facilitate, well, from what I understand, from what I've been told over the years, our board is like amazing with the fact that they provide training and things like that. Other boards aren't as amazing like that. So ours will put on fall and spring education week. You can knock out all of your CE and stuff like that. So but so she will provide like vessels for all of that stuff. But and then they are responsible for enforcing things like MLS, making sure that you got your shit together in the MLS, which, not to change subjects, but I want to throw this out there before I forget it. Since they are opening up, since NAR has made the decision to open up MLS usage to non-NAR members, how will they police that properly? Like, how is that going to be enforced? How will that MLS information be deemed even reliable at this point, besides not guaranteed?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is the association has that
Responsibility.
of course. Yeah, so that will be interesting. So just a broad summary is an EO, it usually has the authority over anything involving operations, staffing, budget implementation, vendor relationships, day-to-day, keep the association alive decisions, interpreting and enforcing existing policies, making judgment calls when a policy exists but the board hasn't clarified details. That's why sometimes I'll say I need to check with the board and get back to you. This is why EOs often appear extremely powerful. They just aren't the final vote. So an EO cannot unilaterally decide on ethics or arbitration outcomes, disciplinary actions, MLS rules, bylaws, due changes, budget adoption, anything requiring a membership vote, anything the board explicitly reserves for itself. Those belong to the elected leadership, the president-elect, the treasurer, the board of directors, and any committees. So just wanted to break that down.
Thank you for putting that there, because I mean, I haven't served in that capacity as an elected member or anything like that. I've only served just as a member on one of the committees for the board. And so I've had very minimal involvement. And it is our company's stance, by the way, we love seeing our agents get involved. So if you ever want support or advice on getting involved, it really has helped my relationship with my local board, going to these state events or being involved at the local level, and it really does help, and relationships are everything. Anybody else? Josh.
I think one thing to take into account too is when it comes to disciplinary actions, we had an issue. We had a new EO come in, and I think she was on a little bit of a power trip, but she started issuing disciplinary actions, which she didn't even have the right to. But then there was a whole bunch of like not even backing up with NAR standards. So I think that's one thing too when it comes to disciplinary. Understand that some of these people, they're not realtors. They don't know. So hopefully you would take the time to study that, but some of them don't. So just take that into account when it comes to disciplinary. I think especially when you get a new EO in a position, they have a tendency to kind of, try to make themselves known. So that's one thing to be careful with. Just know your NAR rules, know your rights as an agent, because that's the thing. NAR does give you a right to appeal disciplinary actions to your board. There's a specific process that has to happen with. So if you ever get in a position like that, reach out to one of us. I've been, not personally, but I've like helped other agents do a couple of them now. They're really not that difficult. And as long as you go back to what NAR says, you're probably going to be just fine. So
Who's responsible for hiring? Like, who makes that decision for hiring the EOs?
The board.
Really?
and I think every MLS is a little different on that process.
That could be true too. That's the thing too, is there's so much confusion, and you can see it in this call. There's so much confusion about associations and MLSs and who does what. And it's wild how different the bylaws are and the rules from association to association, even associations that are neck and neck, side by side, like, delayed showings, coming soon, like everything you can imagine is different, and it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. I actually I ran into that, I believe, like with the agent was in another state, but they like did like coming soons and stuff like that. And then like they're like, "Why don't I see you post like coming soons?" And I'm like, "I don't believe like we can do that over here, but you do you. I'm here to support, your coming soons."
Yeah, so you're right, because in the state of Iowa alone, we have approximately 18 associations, and each one has varying rules on that. So, for example, in the Quad Cities, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a coming soon where you can actually advertise it, even, right? You can advertise it to the public, you let the agents know, and it's coming soon. In some markets, you can let the agents know, but you can't publicly market it at all. Not a sign, not a post. And then in my market, they won't do coming soons in my market, but they'll allow you to have a delayed showing. So I can put it on the MLS and I can put my sign out, but no showings for 2 weeks, but it's not a coming soon. Damn
And
it.
see mine, they allow coming soons because you cannot delay showings. And so they will force you to pull it temporarily off market if your sellers are going to block showings for any reason and things like that. So it's very interesting, all these different rules.
Tomato, tomato. Alicia.
So I had an interesting experience with an association I'm not a member of. It was a brokerage sort of rule that if you're not a member of the same association that they are a member of, they discount their cooperation.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
I was saying, we'll just stop that conversation right there, but I'll say two things about it. One, it just depends on the association and the company and whether they've announced it to the world or they haven't. Do their sellers know? And now in the last year, we've really transitioned to not having cooperative compensation anyways. So, buyer agents are negotiating with their buyers in advance, sellers agents are negotiating with their sellers in advance. And so we don't have as much muddy waters about that anymore. There is a difference between cooperation and compensation, so that was always the thing that was drilled into my brain as well. Sandy?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is it's really kind of moot now. That has kind of happened in the past. It's part of what got us into this whole lawsuit to begin with was, um, the seller's side not even realizing that they were, the seller was paying and then the brokerages were making the decision to limit the potential buyers coming through just unilaterally based on whatever brokerage somebody was coming through. So it was just ridiculous with these lawsuits. So even though cooperating compensation still exists, I personally advise my seller usually against ever offering it. And when I am representing the buyer, I negotiate directly with the seller for my compensation. And even if they're like, it's weird because some brokerages here, they act like the law never even changed and they offer, X amount of percent cooperating compensation. This is what we're offering. Why are you asking for more? And it's because weird. I don't know, a little thing like July 2024 happened, so yeah, that's all I wanted to add to that is like, it's not my problem if people don't advise their clients properly. It does nothing but hurt their own clients.
Yep. All right.
Let's
I have
close this.
one quick thing. Can I tell you all real quick?
Yeah.
Just, I want to have everybody be super aware how ridiculous this is. But last night I fueled up at the Casey's really close to my home. My hand got punctured and I was drugged with something, and they're thinking fentanyl. So wear your gloves now that the weather's cold and when you pump your gas.
Oh
There was a
my God.
whole thing. Des Moines PD had to come take reports, everything. It was ridiculous.
It
So
just ties into safety too as an agent. Just be aware of your surroundings too.
I even have like a little red puncture mark, and that's where they're thinking the point of entrance must have been, because otherwise I have no idea. But I have never felt the way that I did and so fast and everything. Like I pretty much went down and thought there was going to be no tomorrow. It was crazy.
I'm so sorry.
But as fast as it came on, luckily, I don't think it was very much or whatever. I will tell you, it's an experience I've never had before in my entire life, and everything. And within probably 90 minutes or so, I was okay.
Wow.
So like I can't make this stuff up. It's ridiculous. I don't know why these things happen, but like it's a good awareness though. Like my daughter that's 20, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you got to be careful," Now so today I feel like it's my mission to just make sure I tell as many people as possible, because that is the last thing I ever would have thought of happening.
That's insane. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Holly, close us out.
All right. When in doubt, reach out, message us if you need us. We are here for you. We all started this morning with a blank slate at 0. So go out and talk to a buyer, a seller, or an agent today. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye. Thank
You
you.